Then, with that thrilling music, another adventure into the world of K-12, pre-K-12 education begins here on Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. I like that introduction. That was exciting. I'm going to turn off the music now rather abruptly. There it is. It's done. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for being here today. But you probably knew I'm Larry Jacobs, and you probably listen to this all the time. At least I hope so. But we have a new guest today, a first-time guest, Meredith Halpern-Renzer, who I have a feeling from her area code is from my hometown of Philadelphia. We're going to talk about something she founded, okay? She's an Emmy-nominated children's media executive. We'll find out more about that. And she's co-founder and CEO at Tinkercast. Okay, you just Google that or go to Tinkercast.com. And now they've started something new, which is called Tinkerclass. And Tinkerclass, which sounds like Tinkercast, but there's an L in there. Tinkerclass is all about project-based learning. And these are podcasts for kids in the K-5 educational area. So the teachers are going to use this, we hope, to really have some fun with their kids. And Meredith is here to tell us all about it. So I'll bring her on in just a second, just to let you know we're going to archive this. I say this every time, but I like to drum it in. We archive the show over at ace-ed.org. We archive every podcast over there. That's our home website for our American Consortium for Equity in Education. And go over there. You can see our magazine, which is called Equity and Access, Pre-K-12. Just click through. By the way, everything we do over there is free for you. Okay, you'll see a new issue of the magazine over there. You'll see all our podcasts listed under the podcast link. And our Excellence in Equity Awards, now open for educators, not the industry, are available for you to do nominations. Nominate yourself, nominate your colleagues, your school. You'll see all of your faculty, your staff, whatever the case may be. It's a nice honor to get, and we really do take it quite seriously. We have a lot of fun with it, too. And a lot of people working out there to make education more equitable. We like to honor them. I hope you do, too, so please check it all out over at ace-ed.org. And again, everything I just mentioned is free over there. No tricks or anything like that to go over and take a look at it, ace-ed.org. Meredith, good morning. I'm Larry. How you doing?
Hi, Larry. Great. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. You from Philly?
I am from Philly. Yes, I am.
Where are you from in Philly, Meredith?
I am from Abington area.
I taught in Cheltenham.
Our rival.
We lived in Jenkintown.
Yes.
There you go.
We lived in Rydal, right across from Jenkintown.
I know it well. Okay, and when I grew up in West Philly, there was a I think it was a children's girls clothing store called Halpern-Renzer. Any relation? Probably down the line somewhere.
Probably down the line somewhere. Although my family was in the burlap business, so not quite clothing.
Well, I remember a lot of the clothes they sold look like burlap, so I don't know. We'll find out. And by the way, you're the first person I know whose family was ever in the burlap business. Okay?
It's always the first.
Yeah. That's an MBA, a Master's in Burlap Administration, right? Nobody uses the word burlap anymore. I haven't heard the word burlap for years.
Right?
We can talk about burlap for the next 45 minutes, but I think we'll move on to something
I don't know
else.
I don't know if your audience would find that as interesting, but sure.
Burlap? That's such a great word. I'm going to use it today, as much as I can. Burlap. Okay. This is great. I wanted to introduce you, and this is when you're an Emmy. This is cool. You're an Emmy-nominated children's media executive. Is it from Tinkercast or was it something else?
So I started my career at Sesame Workshop. I was there for about 8 years. And then I was one of the people that helped to start up the channel called PBS Kids Sprout, where I was there for 10 years heading the creative team, which was actually based in Philly also. Sprout is out of the Comcast Center in Philly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was all out of New York. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So I was in children's television for 20-something years. And just 6 years ago, my co-founders, Guy Raz and Mindy Thomas, who have extensive careers in podcasting and in radio, asked me to come on board and help them start up Tinkercast, which is an educational children's media company that is audio first. So we are behind the number one podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I do podcasts, as you can probably figure out.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know. And I'll tell you something else. What I like about just doing a podcast, I know everybody's so video-oriented these days, okay? But when you're in school, it teaches kids to listen, okay?
Exactly.
Listening is a skill, okay? And it has to be taught to people. And that's why I like podcasts so much. And the other reason I like podcasts is because while you're listening, you're not tied to a screen. So, and I think this is part of what you guys are doing with project-based learning. You can do things, okay, while you're listening. And I think that's really important. So I love the fact that you did all this. And congratulations for all that. My wife works for PBS, the WGBH up here in Boston. Okay,
amazing.
So there's a little thing there. She's been there for quite a while now. Okay, in the education department over there. Have you ever visited? You must have visited Boston GBH over the years. Did you?
Yeah, many years ago. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great
PBS
PBS station.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. Don't worry about it. Okay, you haven't missed anything along the way. Okay. Anyway, all right. So now I want to go over this because the two words sound so much alike. Okay. We're talking about Tinkerclass, which is your new project-based learning podcast. That's Tinkerclass. Okay. Now tell everybody, before we get into that, talk about its daddy, which was Tinkercast. Just give us a quick overview so they know what that is before we get into the new thing. This is Tinkercast.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Meredith.
Tinkercast launched about 6 years ago, 2017. My partners and I, Guy Raz and Mindy Thomas, we are parents and we're storytellers, and we wanted to create something that was as engaging as a screen or a video game for kids. So we created podcasts that are cartoons for the ear, is what we call them.
Nice.
We take real scientific research from peer-reviewed scientific research, and we break it down into a narrative cartoon world for kids and their grown-ups. And our number one podcast is Wow in the World. So it's taking real peer-reviewed research and telling a whole narrative tale around that amazing wow that's happened in the world. That's what we started with. We then branched out and we have New York Times bestselling book series and live events. And over the pandemic, our listenership skyrocketed. So we were like, we need to do more. Yeah. So we branched out beyond just Wow in the World and created a bunch of other podcasts too. So now our podcast, we have about 5 different podcasts now.
And one of them is Wow. This is all under Tinkercast umbrella. One of them is Wow in the World, right? Which is STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Okay, STEAM-themed podcast for young learners. This is cool. I know a lot of people probably know about that, and if you don't, it's Tinkercast, CAST.com. Okay, now, is Tinkerclass under that same umbrella, or is it kind of more standalone? I don't know how to say that, but you know.
It is under Tinkercast is the company, and Tinkerclass is our new educational program for schools and teachers. It's the first interactive K through 5 educational. You called it a project-based learning program. We actually call it a project-based learning program. I know
you do.
It's hard to say, but I'm getting used to saying it.
Yeah, it is hard to say. Project.
Correct.
A podcast about project-based learning, and don't say that 10 times fast because it's really hard. Okay, project. I have to do that pretty slowly. Okay,
it's a podcast. It's a podcast that then springboards into a project-based learning activity. So as you were saying before, the benefits
so people understand. Yeah, people like that.
Sure.
Do an example.
So of course. So we use audio to guide listeners and students and teachers through this program, which starts off with listen, and you hear about the amazing wonder of one scientific study, and then you wonder and you think, what just made me say wow? Now what do I wonder? And then you tinker and come up with as a group or solo with one big wonder you want to investigate. And then finally you make a project. You make something that was inspired by the wonder you had that from listening to the scientific study.
I have to ask this, is it all done while the podcast is playing? Or is it and the reason I'm asking that, what does a teacher need? By the way, this is for K-5.
Yeah.
What does a teacher, before the teacher plays the podcast for the kids, okay, what do they need to have ready, if anything? And I'm curious if the project is done while the podcast is playing, or does the project, the podcast set up the project?
The podcast sets up the project, essentially. So you listen first, but we have audio guides guiding students through the next steps of the process. Yes. So we have, first you listen, and then you go into this activity. But, we've made it so flexible that teachers can kind of do whatever they choose with it. They could just listen and do a wonder activity, like a reflection, or they can listen, wonder, tinker, and make, and go through the whole thing. And what they need is really what you need to listen to a podcast, which is a speaker or headphones. Every teacher is different. Everyone sets up their classroom differently. Sometimes they listen as a group. Sometimes they listen with headphones individually. Sometimes they do it as a small group activity. Sometimes they do it as a full class activity. It really is so flexible for the teachers. And the project part is all through programs they already have in their classroom. It's Google Classroom and Seesaw and programs that they already have. So we've created templates for them to really make it easy for them to flow through the project.
Is the template on screen at any time, or is the template audio
is
only?
On screen. Yeah, it is on screen. The audio helps facilitate it, which
right now I get
teacher could. Yes, exactly. But it is that part is on screen. The podcast is not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it. So now, if you go to, I can say two-way, just Google Tinkerclass. Okay, everybody, because I did that this morning, and that will take you right there. Okay.
Tinkerclass.com.
And if you do that, then there's probably a list of all the things you have. Am I correct? And then they can pick and choose as needed.
Yeah, you can sort by topic. You can sort by NGSS science standard. You can sort by length of the podcast. There's lots of different ways of sorting things to find what you're looking for and the thing to fit into your classroom.
And what subjects are they?
Are they all
science?
Is just science. They're all science right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's WOW in the World is science. So this is a science program right now. We have hopes of extending it to other subjects in the next year, but for now it is science.
Good. And hear me, the reason I'm asking that, and I was a social studies teacher, okay, and science only moves ahead, okay, for the sake of society. There's no point to building a bridge that no one will use. There's no point to creating a vaccine for a disease that doesn't exist, okay? The point is science only moves for society. And if you don't see the impact, go watch that movie, Oppenheimer. That's all science. Okay, but it's the same thing. And this is what I say to everybody who's so involved in STEM. They have to understand the impact of what STEM is for society. Being the old social studies teacher, I always say that. And that's why I hope you guys come up, and I know you will, with some great ideas how this fits into society. To me, it's really important.
That's right.
Was that good? That was my social studies rant for today.
I love it. And it's so true because, what we're hoping to build are not just scientific thinkers, but also creative thinkers, connecting like curiosity to creative innovation. And that's what our world needs right now. We need our students to feel empowered and, have the agency to be problem solvers and come up with innovations. And that's really what we're at the heart of what we're doing.
And so that leads to the obvious next question. What's the next step for burlap? I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
That's a lesson in social studies way back when.
Yeah, then I just have to keep using the word burlap because I just love the word burlap. Okay? I think everybody knows
I'm
what
sure
burlap
we can find
is.
a creative
Does everybody
innovation.
know what burlap is? I don't even know how to define it.
I can't even believe I brought up burlap in this conversation.
I love it. It's a rough cloth, okay? Burlap. Burlap bags for seeds and stuff, okay? All that stuff.
Well, there probably is a creative innovation to have something in the world with burlap. Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Meredith, Halpern-Renzer bringing burlap into the 21st century. There you go, okay? Now, all right, let's get back to this. Okay, what are you hearing from teachers? And, well, first of all, let me ask you, how long has Tinkerclass been around now? How long Tinkerclass? Tinkerclass. Yes. How long is
You
Tinkerclass
got it.
been
You
around?
got it.
Yeah.
You got it. We just launched in the middle of September, so it's brand new for the school year.
Pretty new. Today's the last day of
Yeah.
October. Okay. So what are you hearing?
So we are, first of all, we've been doing research with this for 5 years. So we have been, over the last 5 years, with the help of a grant from the National Science Foundation, we have been conducting research and development. So we would design something, bring it to a school, test it, iterate on that, bring it to a different school, test it. So we've been working, we've worked with 34 teachers and 500 students over the last 5 years to really develop this, to make sure this is a tool that is useful, easy to use, and does move the needle, right, in a lot of different ways. And is highly engaging. So what we're hearing, the thing that I've been so excited to hear from teachers is that by using audio as the springboard, they are leveling the playing field in their classroom, because they're all of their readers, different reader levels, their striving readers are performing as well, if not better, than their thriving readers.
Good. That's excellent. That is excellent. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's what it really was, an outcome we weren't necessarily testing for, but what we heard over and over again from teachers, which is really inspiring to us, because
a nice
we
unintended
want to
consequence.
provide. Exactly.
Yeah. It's sweet. What about? And I just wrote this down here as a note. You're just saying that as I was thinking about that too. You know that there's a ton of ESL kids all through every school district. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if it's multilingual, and I know that's hard to do, but what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we have.
Where's Tinkerclass on that?
We have 5 Spanish episodes that go along with 5 projects, 5 Spanish themed projects. And what was really great is that we have the same ones in English. So you can listen in Spanish, or you can listen in English, or you can listen in both. Yeah.
That is great. That is super, by the way. It helps kids learn language too. It helps both sides learn language, with the Latino kids learning the English kids learning the Latino. I like the whole idea of it. It's really cool. Again, I love listening and podcasting and all that, is learning a skill of listening. I think it's just great. I'm glad to hear that you have other languages as well. It's really important. And this is something, and I know you've been laughing at my burlap jokes, but an important thing for you, okay, and I know this, you wrote me this, is in integrating humor into STEM learning, okay, integrating humor. Put that together. And I have to ask, is it one reader who gives them the podcast, or are they characters like Billy and Susie and Mickey and all that sort of thing?
Oh, it's a world. We've built a world and characters within it. So Mindy, Guy Raz, Grandma G-Force, Reggie, Dennis, Thomas Fingerling. It's a whole world, and they are characters. And we lead with humor. I mean, think about what happens when you are waiting for that punchline of a joke, right? You're leaning in. You are engaged. You are ignited. And research shows that actually kids retain a lot more information for longer after when they hear something that is through humor. And all of honestly, parents and teachers are laughing at these narrative tales that we tell as well as the kids.
And I got to ask you this, and this is funny. What's your favorite one? Just tell people your favorite one. The favorite project. That doesn't have, I'm sure you have a couple of them.
Yeah.
Pick one, your favorite one, and what's the story there? Okay.
Oh, that's so hard. That's so hard.
What's the story,
well,
Richie?
Let's see.
What's the story, Meredith?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really love Spider Mindy, which is an episode about how spider webs, research found that spider webs are so strong and could actually replace.
They cannot replicate it in science. They can't replicate it.
Exactly. And they can actually, they're stronger than plastic. They could replace plastic.
That's right.
And they're made from soy protein, right? So the episode is Spider Mindy weaving a web
I like that.
and pulling everyone into her web to show just how strong it is. And they all get stuck, and then they have to get someone else to help who then gets stuck. And it illustrates right? Like you can actually visualize how strong the spider web is, and you're learning about the science of how strong the spider web is that could replace plastic. That's one of my favorites. There's so many favorites.
What do the kids do? What do the kids do? Or what can they do? I should say that's probably a number of things they can do as they're listening to this and laughing along. And by the way, just so everybody knows this, you are never more than 6 feet from a spider. Just remember that, everybody. You are never more than 6 feet from a spider.
Don't get caught in their web.
Yeah, you too, Meredith. You're never more than 6 feet from a spider. They're everywhere.
Oh,
and I have to be a spider aficionado, but it's true. But now moving right along down, it's Halloween. I can scare you with a spider. It's Halloween day, so I can do that. But seriously, you're never more than 6 feet from a spider. So now, what was the project?
So then the project is that they then have to build a structure, and they have to engineer something that is strong, that it can hold multiple different things. And they try different materials. They then try different things to hold it. And they, they use their imaginations. Like, what else could be really strong, right? That's our guided project. So we also have freeform too. So we have a blank slate where you can actually decide what did that spark in you that you want to then figure out something new for, new innovation.
Wow, it's really cool. And when the projects are made, and they're made across the country, and you don't have control over that per se, but is there a way for the teachers to give you feedback, about what they did, so that another teacher can use that? It's in other words, I have to say it this way: are you building a community of users where the people don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel? We
really hope to. That is definitely one of our biggest hopes. I mean, we just launched. We have about 1,100 teachers signed up now using it.
Great.
And that's just on our platform. Seesaw also has some on their platform, and there's many users there too. And we have a Facebook group for educators. So if you sign up for Tinkerclass.com as an educator, you'll get an email that says also join our Facebook group. That's really where we're hoping to build a community where people can share not only their project ideas, but also maybe rubrics or tried and true examples of what worked for them in setting up their listening stations, whatever would be useful for teachers to share amongst themselves. We're hoping to facilitate that on our Facebook group. And then we're also setting up, because we are all about listening, we're setting up a listening panel where we are going to keep that door open to hear from teachers. How can we continue to iterate and make this better too? And what's working for them? And we want to just keep learning through this process.
Wow, that is absolutely excellent. And I want to emphasize again, it's free. Am I correct, Meredith?
It's free. It's free. It's totally free.
It's free.
Totally free.
And all you got to do is go to listen to me, Tinkercast.com, and then / if you want to, Tinkerclass, or you can just Google Tinkerclass. Okay?
You can just go to Tinkerclass.com.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't have that one here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I do have it. No, I don't. So Tinkerclass.com also is available, right?
It will take you right there. Yeah, either
Good
or.
enough. Thank you.
You'll get there very easily with either one.
You will get there very easy. It's a lot of fun. This is a K-5 project, okay?
Yes.
And I assume you have it divided into grades and all that sort of thing, so the kids know. Or they can probably, you're amazed how smart they are when the kindergarten goes to do the 5th grade one. It does well. Okay? It's absolutely amazing out there. Thank you. You have opened my eyes to a wonderful new project. I love this thing. You're really doing well, Meredith. This is great stuff.
Oh,
okay?
Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much.
Nice. This is
so happy
really,
to be able
really
to talk
nice
about it. We've been working on it for so long. It's so nice to be able to share it because we're so proud of this. We're so proud of what's happening through this program.
And also with the other languages, and there's an equity side to this. Okay,
Absolutely.
It helps readers. It goes right down the list. Okay, so it's usable, if I may, not only in regular classes but special ed and all that sort of thing. Teachers can take this anywhere they want to go. It's great stuff. It's not all about equity, but it builds equity in, and I think it's just so darn important. I know you're thinking about that. And anything else? Any other news of burlap? Are you still what's going on with burlap these days?
Well, now I'm going to have to go back to my team of educators and figure out what we could do with burlap on a project-based learning program.
Don't be surprised if a number of projects on Tinkerclass come up about burlap soon. So don't worry. What can I do? Burlap. Right. It's great stuff.
There's got to be an innovation for that, yes.
It's great stuff. Thank you, Meredith. This was wonderful. I really enjoyed meeting you. Thank you.
I really enjoyed talking to you too, Larry. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween.
Thanks. Boo, you too. Thank you.
And now I have to go clear out all the spider webs in my room.
Why don't you go out in a burlap sack?
There you go.
Your bag of chicken feed or something. Just a thought. You can get it wholesale. No? Okay. Well, I'll let it go. Meredith, thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was my new best friend, Meredith Halpern-Renzer. Okay, and she is she's Emmy nominated, children's media executive. I love that. She's the CEO at Tinkercast, which now produces Tinkerclass, which is really cool project-based learning and builds great listening skills, builds equity, helps kids who are having problems with reading. If that's needed, it goes in Spanish as well. It's tinkerclass.com. Okay, and it's free. So check it all out. Good stuff, man. I gotta tell you, this is great. All right. Happy Halloween, everybody. There's a great article in the New York Times today about candy corn, one of my favorite flavors in the world. All right. And on that note, I'm going to leave you. Please check everything out that we do over at ace-ed.org. You guys all have a great day.